All right, let's talk Jim Mattis. And this is at this point, it's January 6th. And the way that news tends to turn over with this administration, you could say that this is quote unquote old news, but I would say that this has still profound implications for the current administration. Jim Mattis resigned. This was shortly after Trump had announced that they were planning on pulling out from Syria rather quickly. And I should say, out of obligation, that they've announced since then that they're going to slow it down a bit, but the implication is still that they want to leave Syria as a whole. And Jim Mattis announced his resignation shortly after Trump in particular said they were going to leave. And he was just citing essentially just professional differences, right? So he's the Secretary of Defense. He has obligations not only to the administration, but obviously to the armed services. And if he thinks that as the Secretary of Defense, what he believes should be done is objectively different than the administration, he essentially in his resignation letter said, I feel professionally I should resign because we're different. We're different here. Like, you want to leave Syria. You have different views for the military. I'm just going to resign.
May I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
The way that he did it, and Caleb might agree with me, the way that he did it makes me have more respect for him. I think most people, if they can take advantage of a powerful position in society, even if it's not for good, but their own gain, they're going to do it. They'll still hang on to it, Like, people don't usually relinquish power just because. Like, this is a very soldier thing to do. To be like, this, I am not good for the team that I am on, so I should not be here. Like, this is not how the team should operate. That's a very unselfish soldier thing to do. And that just makes me have more respect for him. So I am upset that he's leaving. I also don't even, and I said before, but I don't even know if I agree with, if he did resign, if the straw that broke the camel's back was Syria, I don't even know that I agree with that, but I still like Jim Mattis. I do. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, when I look at this, specifically, first and foremost, what is he's not retiring, is he? He's just stepping down from his post.
I think he's retiring. I think he's done too with military stuff.
I thought he was just resigning from that position.
No, I think he's legitimately retiring.
I believe he's done as a whole.
But Google Cyril will do it. Hang on.
Yeah, I'd have to
keep going.
That up. But
so I will definitely agree with Cyril on it's a very soldier thing to do. The only thing I would say is that it's unfortunate that those who have that type of integrity and that type of moral set, like you're saying, Cyril, should remain because they're the people that we want. But that's the exact reason why he's leaving, which is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. And I think
catch-22 of integrity. Go ahead.
It is. But
if I talk, right? Because he has the integrity and the good sense to leave when he should, but we need that good sense to say.
Right, exactly.
So if we keep going though with Chad's, I mean, I know Chad mentioned that this was kind of a little bit of old news, but if we continue on to exactly what he's got here with this latest, this one's by Daniel Poletti, came out actually today. Pentagon Chief of Staff becomes third top DoD official to resign in less than a month.
Oh, that's right.
Rear Admiral Kevin M. Sweeny is resigning his post as Chief of Staff to the Secretary of Defense. So my question now to Chad would be: is are you concerned about the fact that 3 people have resigned top DoD positions at this point?
Yes. I also trust the process. I trust that infrastructure works as a whole. Even if there are minor temporary absences in terms of leadership, but it is definitely concerning. And
what is it about this that's specifically concerning?
Level heads, and we've seen this. I mean, this is not a unique problem, right? In terms of Secretary of Defense, the amount of people that have resigned or have quit or have been fired from the administration ever since Trump has taken office is concerning, let alone the amount of positions he still has yet to fill. Right. So he has a problem with people wanting to be part of an administration, let alone strong-headed, level-minded, honorable people. And I think all three of us would agree that Mattis was, however you want to talk about his policy, was a very respectable leader, at least in the context of the military. So, he's already short on leaders, and you're talking about like a huge chunk of the world, quote unquote, the world police, but like our military specifically is now sort of has less level minds at the top of it. That's concerning. It's concerning. I don't know if that's just me, but that's a little concerning.
To me, the defense position in the DoD, that's not that concerning because of exactly what you said, Chad, and Cyril knows this as well. There is a ton of qualified individuals that could easily step into that role of admirals and generals and you name it. To me, what's more concerning is the fact that this is another one of Trump's cabinet that has left, and is he the last one from the beginning? Mattis? That's my question at this point. I don't know the answer to that, but is he?
I don't know, but that's a good question to ask.
Because I found this random article. Well,
no, Mick Mulvaney's still there.
Mick Mulvaney. Okay, so one.
There's not a lot. If that's.
So I mean, my question at this point is this common? Is there normally this much type of turnover?
I don't think so.
Definitely not common.
And I'm pulling up this article here from a couple of people here at CNN Politics who has left Trump's administration in orbit, and it's not good. At least looking at it doesn't look that great.
The original article that I had my attention drawn to was a Yahoo article, which shamefully I'll admit, because typically it's Cyril coming in with the Yahoo, but here we are.
It's just an article.
Just fucking with you. So Jim Mattis' resignation has conservatives admitting it's time to panic about Trump. That was the name of the article. It was a Huffington Post article, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think that there's definitely a large context to this that is true. Everybody that is a conservative, everybody that's a Republican in our government officially, obviously isn't necessarily on Trump's side. I think a lot of them, if we're being honest, see Trump as like, quote unquote, a loose cannon, somebody that they want to control, that they can try and use for their agenda, but is unpredictable. And now that Mattis is gone, one of these strong-headed, like level-minded voices in his administration is gone. They're like, okay, so who's really running the ship? Especially when you're talking about the military, that's a place to be concerned. So, I think it's not unique. Like, I don't know if you could name another administration where they had this much turnover. And B, specifically because it's Trump in charge, you don't know who's going to be put in next, especially now that there's such a bad taste to being part of Trump's administration. What was that?
I watched
a role recently. I forget what the head was. Chris Christie was considered for it. So do you know what I'm talking about?
Secretary of State.
Was it Secretary of State?
No, yeah. Sorry.
No, it wasn't.
It was Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff, that's what it was. Something that is if you're somebody who is an aspiring politician in DC, you are you're chomping at the bit for a Chief of Staff position, and people are turning away from it because it's the Trump administration. It's just there's just a stigma to it now, and it's just unorganized and chaotic.
Listen, I watched something in this art. It was in this article, or I clicked on something. I don't know. Where there was video where Lindsey Graham said the mission is to make sure ISIS doesn't come back. Okay, in defense of like keeping soldiers there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, when is the mission done? Like, I don't understand. When is the mission done?
Well,
why can't we leave a couple hundred people there to just intel collect and that's it?
And we're going to go down a rabbit hole here.
That's it.
See, yeah, right. This is a different part of the conversation. Should we or should we have not withdrawn from Syria? Go ahead, Caleb.
I mean, none of us know the answer to that for sure, obviously.
Well,
no, we don't. I mean, nobody's a part of the military right now. Nobody runs the military. I don't know. I mean, look, these things are complicated, but I just, from everything that I saw and from the even from things I was around from my time, you don't need that many people to information collect and just make sure that the homeland and the American people are being protected. You don't need, boots on the ground and all this stuff. Like, so I want to spend as little money as possible, but still protect Americans, in obviously you can't protect them fully, but maximize it's a delicate line, right, to play with. You want to maximize protection, but at the same time you don't want to spend too much money. So we spend too much on defense. So it always makes me butthurt. I always admit that. It just makes me butthurt. There's better things to spend money on. So
all in all, what I see in Trump's administration, if I may, Cyril, I apologize.
Sure, go ahead.
Is how many conflicts there have been allegedly between the process that Donald Trump is going through and his advisors, essentially those people who are in those positions. I'm going down this list on CNN Politics, and I'm looking at I just had it up a second ago. Gary Cohen, chief economic advisor to the White House. Yeah, why? Because he had a fierce disagreement with the president to impose tariffs on steel and imports, and he's like, "Fine, fuck you, you're out."
And once the tax cuts got passed, he bounced.
Right, which I get. Like at the end of the day, if you don't agree with the process, well, if you don't agree with what's going on, if you don't think that that's the best method, then you should be moving on. But I go through this list.
You should have moved on a long time ago. You knew what his trade policy stance was. You stayed because you wanted a tax cut for your own self, and you bounced.
That might be the case, but specifically what I'm talking about is a disagreement on how the country should be run.
And there was a disagreement. But you knew Trump never made it two bones about his trade policy. It was always going to be... So, I mean, I guess you never know when you get into power, but
I think a lot of people also come from this idea that, you know what, if I just get the I know I'm this type of person. If I just get the chance to present to you what's happening, if I get the chance to present to you my idea, my thoughts, my process, you may be likely to change your thought process. And I think what all of these people are learning is that Trump doesn't do that.
Yeah, he does not.
He doesn't do that.
And we need a lot better leadership. And Jim Mattis going away is not good.
It's not good.
I think I think it won't be bad, but I think that the fact that most people see this man as a man of integrity, a man of true honor of the military, so on and so forth, that he's the one that's stepping down in this manner really raises eyebrows for a lot of people.
Well, the problem is too, Caleb, is if you and like you said, there's infrastructure in place. There's plenty of well-intentioned, or at least strong-minded people that exist within the structure of the military. But if you do put in a new Secretary of Defense, and let's say he's completely 100% opposite of Mattis, and there start to come down orders from the top where we need to completely do things differently, you're not going to find people that are just going to start acting in insubordination towards those orders, right? This is the military. You have to follow orders from the top, surely. So what if somebody comes in there that is really 100% different from Mattis and is not somebody that we should, let's say we have somebody that's warmongering in there, right? That let's go into Ukraine and let's start building up some presence, or, you know what I mean? Maybe it is a position to be concerned, because let's see who gets nominated as Secretary of Defense. What if orders start coming down that are just they're not good? They're completely different to what the typical has been going.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not a position to be concerned about? I mean, Mattis isn't there.
Sure.
Certainly, but I think that most...
What if it's a loose cannon?
I think you would be hard-pressed. Hold on. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who's been in the military for 25 to 30 years as a loose cannon.
As a loose cannon, yeah. As someone who's been successful in the military.
Right.
Trump has nominated less qualified people.
What's that?
Trump has nominated much less qualified people.
Certainly, but you still have to get these people past some sort of a process in order to be nominated, right?
That's true. That's true.
There's no way in hell that somebody with no military experience is going to be nominated as a Secretary of Defense.
That's fair. There are still checks and balances. Although he has been putting people into power, sort of subverting the process. So there's that to be concerned about as well.
Not as the Secretary of the DOD. To Cyril's point, how much? Well, that's fair. But to Cyril's point, how much money do we spend on defense?
A lot.
Too much.
That is the big dog
A
ticket
lot.
for anybody. That is the fucking big dog
Okay.
ticket, and you are
Too
not going
much.
to make that type of a poor decision. And if it happens, I would be shocked.
That's fair.
Somebody who's completely out of left field, I would be very much shocked.
I'll grant you that.
And if it happens,
is why-
it's just more of a point to the fact that he has no idea what the fuck he's doing.
I'll grant you that.
Another reason why I want government to be strong in support of its citizens, but not strong as far as like the infrastructure itself. Like, Jesus Christ, we need to help people. We don't need to have this huge government that has a president that just declares, well, I think I can just build the wall with the military. I don't even need anybody else. Excuse me, sir? No. All right.
Yeah, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, we'll move on to the next one.
Rip, General Mattis, thanks for your service.
All right,
That is 100% true. I love that you said that. I agree. That's a good way to end that.